Hey everyone, welcome. So today we're going to go way beyond just the basic Q&A with AI. We're talking about how to unlock those really creative, strategic, honestly just brilliant results from the language models you're already using. The question is, how do we actually do that? Well, let's dive in. So, let me ask you something. Do you ever feel like you're just stuck in a rut with your AI? You know the feeling. You ask a question and you get a pretty good answer, but it's kind of generic, right? So you try again and you get something that's just a little bit different, but basically the same idea. Yeah, if your AI results are starting to feel a little too predictable, you are definitely in the right place. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. LLMs at their core are all about logic and patterns. They are fantastic at drawing a perfectly straight line from point A to point B. But here's the catch. The really big ideas, those breakthrough moments, they don't follow a straight line. They're more like a wild leap from A all the way to Q. So how do we convince our super logical AI to take that creative leap with us? Well, we're going to bring in a mentor. We're going to look to the work of Edward de Bono. Now, this guy was a total pioneer in structured creative thinking. And it turns out his frameworks are the perfect key to unlock our AI's potential and guide it into some really powerful, really unexpected places. The big idea from de Bono is actually pretty simple, but it's really profound. He argued that breakthrough thinking isn't some kind of magic you're born with. No, it's a skill. It's all about having a structured process for how you approach a problem. And here's the really cool part. We can actually teach this exact process to our AI.
Okay, so the first tool we're pulling out of this De Bono toolkit is something called the 6 thinking hats. Now, the whole idea here is to stop trying to do everything at once. You know how our brains try to be creative and critical and logical and emotional all at the same time? It's chaos. Instead, this framework has us deliberately put on one hat at a time so we can look at a problem from 6 totally distinct perspectives.
Yeah, you can literally think of these as 6 different brains you can just borrow whenever you need them. We've got the white hat for pure objective facts, the red hat for all those gut feelings and emotions, the black hat is our cautious, what could go wrong judge, then there's the yellow hat, the sunny optimist, the green hat is for wild, out-of-the-box creativity, and finally, the blue hat. That's the conductor, the project manager keeping everything on track. All right, let's try a few on, shall we? All right, first up, let's talk about the white hat. When you tell your AI to put on the white hat, you're essentially telling it, be a robot, but in a good way. We want a pure, unbiased data gatherer. No opinions, no spin, no interpretations. It's all about just the facts. What do we know for sure? And just as important, what info are we missing? So the prompt you use becomes this really direct command. See, you're not just doing a vague search anymore. You're explicitly instructing the AI to take on the persona of a neutral researcher. This is absolutely perfect for making sure your project is grounded in reality right from the very beginning. Okay, next up, we're switching gears completely and putting on the red hat. And yeah, this is the total opposite of the white hat. This one is all about pure emotion, intuition, those gut feelings. And the most important rule of the red hat? No justification is needed. You're not looking for a logical reason, you're looking for that immediate, unfiltered human reaction. And this is where things get really, really insightful, especially for things like marketing. You're basically asking the AI to simulate a customer's gut reaction. Does your message feel exciting, or maybe a little overwhelming, or does it just feel cheap? The red hat is like a super fast emotional temperature check. All right, now for what might be one of the most critical hats of all, the black hat. Think of this as your built-in devil's advocate. Its entire job is to be a professional pessimist, to find the flaws, to point out the risks, to list every single thing that could possibly go wrong. It's all about being cautious so you can be prepared. So with a prompt like this, you're basically turning your AI into a full-on risk analysis partner. You're telling it, stress test this idea for me, hit it from every angle. It forces you to look at the hard truths, to confront potential problems before they blow up into full-blown disasters. And I want to be really clear about this. This isn't about being negative. It's about smart, proactive planning. Okay, so after all that doom and gloom from the black hat, we need the perfect antidote, right? Enter the yellow hat. This is the sunshine and optimism hat. It's all about focusing on the benefits, the value, the reasons why an idea is not just good, but great. It's your chance to deliberately look for all the positives and explore why this thing is absolutely going to work. And this is so powerful for building a compelling case for whatever you're working on. Think about it. The black hat just showed you all the risks. Now the yellow hat comes in and builds the argument for why it's still worth doing. It helps you nail down that value proposition so you can talk about it clearly and with real confidence. Okay, time for my personal favorite, the green hat. This is the fun one. This is pure, unfiltered creativity. The number one rule of the green hat is there are no bad ideas. Zero. It's all about brainstorming, coming up with crazy alternatives, and just completely pushing the boundaries of what you thought was possible.
And a prompt like this is the perfect way to just unleash your AI's creative side. When you explicitly tell it no idea is too strange, you're giving it permission to shatter its own logical constraints. You're freeing it up to serve you some genuinely new, maybe even a little weird concepts that it would normally filter out. And last but not least, we have the blue hat. Now, this one's a little different. It's kind of the meta hat. It doesn't think about the problem itself, it thinks about the thinking process. It's the conductor of our little thinking orchestra, right? It's the one that decides, okay, now let's use the green hat, or we need some black hat thinking here. It manages the whole agenda and keeps everything organized. And this is what really elevates your AI from just a simple tool to a genuine strategic partner. Think about it. You can ask it to design your entire thinking workflow for a project. You're not just asking for answers anymore. You're asking the AI to help you figure out how to ask better questions and in what order to ask them. That's a game changer. Okay, so the 6 hats are amazing for organizing our thinking. But what if we need to just blow it all up? That's where our next tool comes in. We're talking about lateral thinking. This is a whole framework designed specifically to jolt you and your AI out of those comfortable logical ruts we all get stuck in. Now, de Bono came up with a bunch of techniques for this, but let's just focus on 3 of the big ones. There's random entry, where you literally force a connection with a random word. There's challenge assumptions, where you question every single thing you take for granted. But honestly, my favorite, and I think the most powerful one for using with AI, is a technique called provocation. So this idea of provocation, which de Bono just called PO for short, is wild. Just look at this comparison. On the left, you've got a totally logical prompt, and it'll get you logical, predictable answers. But look at the one on the right. My clients pay me to not use AI. That statement is absurd, right? It's completely illogical. And that is exactly the point. That's why it works. It forces the AI off the beaten path to find a totally new way forward. And just look at what happened. Look at the ideas that came out of that. That one single impossible statement unlocked these brilliant, super practical business ideas that a normal prompt would never have stumbled upon. It completely reframes the whole problem. All of a sudden, you're not just a person who sells AI services. You're selling expertise on when not to use AI. You're offering audits to prove its value. You're even consulting on AI burnout. It's incredible. So here's the big takeaway from all of this. Your new AI superpower isn't about memorizing the one perfect prompt. It's about becoming the conductor of your AI's entire thought process. You now have a whole toolkit you can use to guide it, to make it look at things from different angles, and to intentionally, deliberately break it out of its logical patterns when you need to. So the real question isn't about what these tools can do, it's about what you're going to do with them. What's that one big assumption you've always held about your work or your project or your entire industry? That one thing that everyone knows is true? That's the thing that is just waiting for you to challenge it with a provocative prompt. So go on. Go find out what happens.